Tyler the Creator introduced us to a brand new era with nothing but a number, 855-444-8888. When calling this number, you'll hear various samples including his mother, going over childhood stories of Tyler. Not long after, we were presented with Tyler's ID, which pays homage to the Old Dirty Bastard's ID card, off of The Return of 36 Chambers. This piece of ID looks awfully normal, including Tyler's age, infamous signature, and ID photo. But there's something missing, his full name. Rather than Tyler Okonma, the name written is Tyler Baudelaire. When I first saw this, I could tell that Tyler was looking to explore a new ego or character to channel creativity with his music. Anyone can see that Tyler was pursuing a new version of himself through this brief Instagram post over the past year. He even changed his name to Tyler Baudelaire much before the album was announced. But that brings us with the question of, who is Tyler Baudelaire? Who is this new Italian traveling persona that we're adventuring through Call Me If You Get Lost? This extension of self is not entirely surprising, as we've seen Tyler take on personas throughout Bastard, Wolf, and Goblin. The album starts this persona quite explicitly with the title track Sir Baudelaire. We collect our important keywords of the album throughout this track as we're introduced to our high-class traveling persona. With very simple research, I found that the very famous Baudelaire goes by Charles, a famous French poet. His works include the themes of romance, escape from the physical world, and desire for the infinite, which is the bottom line of what he represents for Tyler within this album. Tyler uses his character as an extension of oneself, an alter ego, where he can use this opportunity to channel distinguished and more creative writing. Tyler posing himself as this character is not out of the blue. Like stated before, it's an extension of who he is, existing aspects that he wants to shed light on for us. And if not existing, this character can fall under something as aspirational, which he sees his most ideal self as. The song samples Atmosphere's Lifter Puller, off the album Seven's Travels, where Atmosphere's Slug uses this album as an expression for travel, pouring his feelings in how he's traveled to many strange places, but to all he has seen ultimately gives him the better expression of himself and home, making the sample quite ingenious, being produced by Tyler and conductor Williams. This track also creates an importance because of the frequent mentions of passports and how they're stamped up or looking thick, which is reiterated importantly throughout the album. Corso foreshadows a love story that runs in parallel with the traveling throughout the album, where we're introduced to a romantic mishap, where we're hinted that she doesn't pick him in the end. Well, in the next track, Lemonhead gives us more excitement before we dive into Tyler's adventure. A verse that ties into his Baudelaire ego is where he states he's the first person to put a bike rack on her rolls. What's Your Name further introduces this girl that Tyler is chasing. What's interesting in the accompanying video is it all seems like a fever dream. How Tyler would ideally imagine introducing himself to this girl, heightened confidence in a dreamlike scenario, leading into the inspiration of Baudelaire in Lumberjack. In Lumberjack, Tyler is doodling the album cover, which is a passport, and looking at Italian Formula 1 race cars, almost like he's manifesting of who he really wants to be. To me, the scene acts like a prelude to the album. The next scene shows a bike, with the writing Baudelaire along the side. If you're familiar with Tyler's past, you know about his BMX named Slater, his beloved bike which accurately resembled his style. The same clearly goes with this bike and present day Tyler, especially whenever he paints his nails the same color later in the video. Everything before Lumberjack to me is nothing but manifestation, symbolizing the idea of being free and breaking into the full character of Mr. Baudelaire. This all leads into one of my favorite lines, "We just landed in Geneva. Yeah, that's in Switzerland. We on a yacht. A young lady just fed me vanilla ice cream." They've made it. Whether we're in Tyler's daydream or physical reality, the use of his passport is in full effect. He's traveling the world. On Massa, the symbolism of a passport and opening up your perspective is reiterated through the introduction, where Tyler states, "The greatest thing that ever happened to me was being damn near 20 and leaving Los Angeles for the first time. I got out of my bubble, my eyes just wide. My passport is the most valuable," as the line cuts off. Traveling opened his eyes to the world. He was able to exit his bubble and indulge the beauties of the world around him. Ending the intro with "My passport is the most valuable," which leads into the different perspective throughout the song. A note to take in through Massa is confidence. Although he's always been confident, he praises himself to where he's become. DJ Drama reinstates the album's thesis through saying, "A vision you have to understand from perspective. A perspective that you can only find out by understanding oneself." Continuation of confidence is trickled down through the album, originating from Hot Wind Blows. But it's important to note that Tyler has always been confident. This song specifically, though, reminds me of the lyric in Where This Flower Blooms, where he states, "Tell these black kids they could be who they are. Dye your hair blue, shit, I'll do it too." Tyler spoke about this further in the Flower Boy Conversation interview, where he states,
"It's a similar thing. Tell these black kids they can be who they are." Were you saying that to you? You're saying that to like the people?
Well, I was saying that to me too, but like it's no one saying that kids that look like me or to anyone that looks like me. We've had this conversation just wanting to snowboard when I was 12, but someone saying, "Oh, that's white people shit. Black people don't do that."
Yeah.
No, you don't do that. Don't put a damper on me and tell me what I can and can't be just because of the way everyone else was that's my same color. And I just feel like wanted to tell them, like, no, be you, be
who you are.
This ideology is also built upon in Manifesto. He's trying to run with the baton. He's doing a lot more for his culture than those trying to cancel him. He's not really unfamiliar with pushing this message on the generation of kids raised on his music. Nearly 8 years ago on one of my favorite songs, Rusty, he states, "I try to tell the kids like, fuck it, start being yourself." Which I strongly believe is a theme from Tyler throughout his career. From Bastard to Call Me If You Get Lost, the only real difference is how he expressed it. The 10th track, like on all of Tyler's projects, loops back to the peak of romance that Tyler is experiencing. The first half of this song revolves around the pure infatuation for this girl. Next thing that he knows is that she chose his friend instead of him, splitting the album between infatuation and the stages of heartbreak, which leads to turning to the one closest to him, his mother. Tyler goes through the stages of grief in an accelerated manner compared to his other albums. I think that this is due to the fact of how fulfilled he is with life now. Literally and metaphorically, as shown through the album, the world is his. He realized how blessed he is, patting himself on the back for the well-renowned accomplishments such as Golf Wang, La Fleur, Converse, Gucci, and the great success of Camp Flog Gnaw so far. Of course, extending on this idea with a little less humble juggernaut, that he really does have it all, boasting the monetary results of the previous track's accomplishments. The album is finished off with the love story of Wilshire, a song covering the full length of the relationship until its downfall. He concludes this by saying it's nothing but a chapter in the book, expressing that creating a song as a form of expression helps conclude what has been done. Which leads to Safari. Tyler finishes off the album rapping about the safari of life he's in, concluding with the beauty of experience, bringing back the symbolism and importance of his passport, while expressing how far he's come. Call Me If You Get Lost is finding yourself through experiences, in the metaphor of travel. Tyler was lost and found himself. Call him because he's been there, he's done that. He even said that the best thing he's ever done was travel. This all ties back into the first sample of the album, where Slug from Atmosphere gains experience of the world through traveling, only to come home and know more about himself than ever. Sonically, it's easy to see that Tyler has never understood himself more. This album feels like Goblin or Bastard, but through an articulated lens. There's now substance to the lyricism. Over the past decade, it's been wonderful seeing Tyler grow, and this album complements his maturity greatly. It feels like we're traveling with him to a different experience in life. One thing that we can all take away from this album is to seek the unknown. Use your passport and find more about yourself. We ever get so lost in the shells of our reality, and it's very important to grow. So whether it's one town over for the weekend or planning a trip of your lifetime, what's stopping you? The world is yours, and this is your sign to go get it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I want to hear where you rank Call Me If You Get Lost in Tyler's discography. I also want to hear what your favorite track is off the album, and let me know if you have any of your own theories of this album's storyline. Don't forget to drop a like down below, and until next time guys.